Hello class, we're going to continue to look at how to draw some of these basic shapes and do some fancy things with diagramming. In this one we're going to look at these sort of orange circles. We see that, I know they look really easy, I showed you how to draw circles, I showed you how to draw dotted lines, but look closely that there is a solid black line and there is a transparent inner fill. And if you look at my other diagrams, I've actually used that a lot. We can see this shape here and here is a transparent fill and a solid line. And here I've used it, almost all these objects are solid lines and transparent fills. The thing is, it's not straightforward on how you do that. It's a very useful thing, and you have to use the appearances like we did in the last video to do this dotted line. And so I do want to show how to do that because I think it's useful. So here we go. I'm just going to come to my practice file, and I'm going to start by making a new layer, lock the old one. I think I called those nodes, so I'll just call it nodes, which are sort of basically entry points to my site. Call it whatever you want. Again, it doesn't have to be just for nodes, but anytime you want sort of a transparency and a solid line mixed together. So the line was black, so I'm just going to change my stroke to black, and the fill was an orange color, so I'll just quickly select an orange. And of course, to do a circle, if you are on by default, you probably see a rectangle, so I'm just going to click and hold and go to ellipse. And if we remember to draw a perfect circle, I click and I hold shift to draw a perfect circle. And when I do that, I get this dotted lines. Now it's remembering the sort of circles I used when I made this object in the last video. So the first thing I should do is probably set up those dashes. I'm going to not make them round, so I'll go back to my butt caps here, as it's called, and in this case I'm going to say, I don't know, 6 for a dash and maybe 3 for a space, and the line weight's probably too thick, so let me change it down to 3 for a line weight. And I just sort of made a simple orange fill with black dotted line. Now again, in what we saw was that this orange was transparent. Now if I just went to standard transparency and changed my opacity down like I did when I did the satellite image, we see that it doesn't just change the fill, it changes the entire stroke, and that is not quite what I want. It fades that down too much. So I'm just going to Control Z to undo that, or Edit Undo. What I need to do that, I need to go back to my appearances. So I'm going to select my object, and I'm going to go to my appearances, which is over here, where again we see what is record of everything I have applied to this. So what I want to do is I want to hit this little area, this little arrow next to fill, and we can see that there's an independent opacity. This opacity, this one down here where it says opacity, that's when you change it up here. It changes it for everything. Not that you need to check this arrow, but we can see each time I have a stroke or a fill, it has its own independent opacity. And so when I click on that, I'm just going to get the exact same thing, and I can change this slide bar all by itself. And we can see what that does is it's only changing the opacity of the inner fill, but it left the stroke perfectly solid, or not, in color. And so that's how I did all those kinds of shapes in that manner. So what I want to do now in the next video is I probably should show maybe how to copy things around easily. So we'll end this video here and we'll take a look at that.